Happy Election Day! In celebration of this most important of days in the U.S., we are going to be talking about The Hobbit. That's right, The Hobbit. Because frankly, it's a heck of a lot more interesting than U.S. politics. I mean, I don't even know where to begin. This is such a big project that there's so much to talk about. But we are going to have to strip it down to its base and put it back together, and I don't know where this metaphor was going. I had something and then it disappeared. So anyway, I think the first thing that we need to talk about concerning The Hobbit is the split of the movies. Originally, The Hobbit was going to be two films, An Unexpected Journey and There and Back Again. Both, ironically, the titles or subtitles or other titles of the book. And it was going to be perfect, like two movies for this book. I mean, that's great. I mean, here we know exactly where the split will be because it's halfway through the book and it's just the perfect point. You can fit all of this amazing stuff into two movies that, you wouldn't get if The Hobbit was just one film. And then we got another announcement saying that Peter Jackson had decided to make it 3 movies instead. Yeah. So, I personally was very distraught over the news because 2 movies was just perfect. 3 is reaching because the book isn't that big. I mean, okay, here's my set. And, you've got The Hobbit, which is the prequel, Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King. And Return of the King isn't that big. Most of it is the appendices. So, I mean, come on. And The Hobbit is definitely an easier read than the other 3 books because, it was his children's novel as opposed to, the adult novel, which are really hard to read. It's because he just has so much description and a lot of Elvish and there's a lot of singing that happens in the books. But, so The Hobbit isn't as dense as the others. So, there's not that much information in the books. So how is Peter Jackson going to make this into 3 movies? And, I've been thinking about this for several months now, and I'm finally becoming okay with the idea, because we were saying, well, where is he going to get all the extra information from? Because PJ claimed that, there was extra stuff that he couldn't fit in the 2 movies that he had filmed, and, he just wanted more, and so by doing a 3rd movie, he'd be able to stick all that in, rather than just doing an extended edition on the DVD. So the only place he could pull this information from was either the Silmarillion or the appendices in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Now, the Silmarillion is basically, it's a history book. And it's even harder to read than the Lord of the Rings. And I haven't even made it through it in one sitting. I've read it in its entirety, but in several different sittings. And, it's hard because it's a history book. And it reads like a history book. But they don't have the rights to it. So how can they pull all this history in if they don't have the rights? Well, PJ recently announced that they'd actually be pulling the information from the appendices in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, which is a lot of information. I mean, it's a lot of information. But let's see. Here's where the appendix starts. Well, Appendix A starts right here. That's the appendices for the Lord of the Rings. So there's a lot of information in this that they can pull from because it talks about the kings, it talks about all the different families. It's like a briefer version of the Silmarillion. So there is some to work with, and that means that they can go into the more in-depth characters, people we didn't actually hear about in the Lord of the Rings movies, who were actually very important to the books that just kind of got written out of the script. So I'm still really on the whole 3 films idea, but I trust Peter Jackson because he did such an amazing job with The Lord of the Rings, and he has an amazing cast. Martin Freeman. Can we talk about Martin Freeman for a moment? So, the thing that I love him in the most is, of course, Sherlock, because it's an amazing show, and he is just so adorable. They could not have casted Bilbo Baggins any better than with Martin Freeman. I mean, honestly, every time I watch the previews and the trailers and all the little edited scenes that we have been getting the past several weeks, I'm just like, oh my god, Martin Freeman! Like, can you do no wrong? You are so perfect. He's so adorable, and he just fits the role of young Bilbo so perfectly that it almost makes me sad that he didn't play old Bilbo. But not really, so, you know. But it's okay. And the fact that we're getting Benedict Cumberbatch as Smaug's voice in film 2, apparently. I don't know when he's even going to come in now. But, so, they already have a relationship, and so even though they won't be face-to-face because Smaug is a dragon and that's all going to be CGI, but that dynamic is just going to be hysterical to watch. I know it. But going back to the 3 films, so we have An Unexpected Journey, then we have The Desolation of Smaug, which is a big spoiler right there, so it's like, oh, okay, the desolation. Yeah, apparently he's going to die. And then the 3rd film will be There and Back Again. So where they're going to cut these movies is really kind of up in the air then, because are they going to introduce Smaug in the 1st film? Are they going to get that far? Or are they going to stop in Mirkwood? Or, you know, where is the cut going to be? And then that makes the final film, I mean, we've got the Battle of 5 Armies, but it doesn't last that long. I mean, if you haven't read the book, people out there, you really should, because it's a super easy read and it's an amazing story. But we've got this big battle at the end of the book that lasts, you know, several days and whatnot, but it's just one battle. And yeah, Minas Tirith and, you know, those battles that were in Lord of the Rings were amazing, but you couldn't make a whole movie out of them. So I'm still confused as to where the cuts of these 3 films are going to be and how they're going to stretch them into 3 feature-length films. Because you can put a lot of the history in there, but is it going to make sense in context? That's my biggest concern. So, but like I said, I trust Peter Jackson. He can do no wrong. I mean, he's just amazing. So we have to trust him. We have no choice. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about for right now is the fact that all the promotion stuff that's been happening for The Hobbit, I'm just so excited. So New Zealand Air did an amazing promotional video for their air safety. They do these really fun videos. And so they've done an entire Hobbit Lord of the Rings themed air safety video. Go look it up. I'll put it in the description in case you haven't seen it. Denny's, you know, the restaurant that we have here in the US, they are doing a Hobbit themed menu. And I'm not a huge fan of Denny's, but I'm definitely going to be going because that's awesome. And I want to see if the food's any good or not. But, and just all the trailers have been coming out and it's so amazing and I'm so excited. And tickets go on sale tomorrow for the theaters, so it's like, oh yes, The Hobbit's finally coming out. I've been waiting for this for over a year, as have everybody else. But it's just, we finally get to go back to Middle Earth, and I am so excited. So anyway, Caro, it is now your turn to talk about The Hobbit. What have I said that, you know, sparked your interest? What can be added to the conversation? I mean, this is such a huge project, so there's a lot to talk about. I look forward to your next video. Bye.